Over the last 5 years, MrBeast has gone from YouTube's most beloved creator to one of its most controversial. A man who once represented generosity now finds himself accused of manipulation, exploitation, and corporate greed. He cured 1,000 people of blindness, fed entire communities, and gave away more money than most charities. But today, his name shows up in lawsuits, employee testimonies, and headlines that question everything his empire stands for. Because behind the perfect thumbnails and grand gestures lies a question that no one seems able to answer. Is MrBeast the internet's greatest philanthropist, or its most calculated businessman? So Jimmy Donaldson, the kid who would become MrBeast, uploaded his very first video when he was just 13, a short Minecraft clip titled Worst Minecraft Saw Trap Ever, back in 2012. It was rough, and it barely got views, but it was the humble beginning of a YouTube empire. Fast forward a decade later. By July 2022, he had hit 100 million subscribers, after passing 50 million in early 2021, and by late 2023, he'd crossed 200 million. In mid-2024, he even surpassed T-Series to become the most subscribed channel on the entire platform. His formula seemed almost ridiculously simple. Give away insane amounts of money, capture those raw, emotional reactions, and let the algorithm do the rest. Early on, he built a small team of childhood friends in Greenville, North Carolina, and together they spent endless hours editing and filming. It was chaotic but tight-knit, a group chasing a shared dream of making videos that didn't just entertain but genuinely helped people. For a long time, the press adored him, calling him YouTube's Robin Hood. Most of us believed it completely. We clicked, we cheered, and we subscribed. The numbers skyrocketed. 50 million, 100 million, 200 million. And this wasn't just about views anymore. He launched Beast Philanthropy, funding massive charity projects, food drives worth tens of millions, rebuilding schools, and digging wells across Africa. It felt like a new kind of philanthropy, powered not by billionaires, but by clicks. But as the empire grew to impossible scale, the pressure, the production demands, and the expectations grew with it. And soon, the cracks in that perfect image began to show. Then came the first big stumble. Old posts and clips reappeared showing Jimmy using homophobic and other offensive language when he was younger. The headlines wrote themselves, and it clashed hard with the nicest guy on YouTube image he'd built. Back in 2018, when this first blew up, he mostly brushed it off. Years later, in 2024, he put out a statement saying he'd used inappropriate language when he was a teenager and that he'd learned from it. No big brand exits followed, and his channel kept growing. But the moment left a mark. Critics said the response felt too polished and strategic. Fans argued that people change and that his more recent actions showed growth. Either way, that controversy set a clear pattern for how future storms would play out. Old or new allegations surface, a quick response follows, and the content machine keeps moving. By 2021, the Jimmy Donaldson operation was no longer a tight-knit crew. It had evolved into a full-blown company, employing dozens of young staff via its Greenville, North Carolina production hub. These were bright-eyed, early 20-somethings willing to hustle, hoping for resume sparkle or maybe their own shot at viral fame. But the shine began to wear off. A major review in 2024 revealed troubling remarks from former editors and production assistants. The culture was less family and more high-pressure machine. Accounts described mandatory weekend shoots stretching into the early morning, team chat calls shaming anyone who left before 3 a.m., and NDAs so thick they felt like shields rather than safeguards. One producer claimed she was fired after requesting a Saturday off for her grandmother's funeral. The company denied retaliation, citing performance issues instead. It was a tough look, especially when you consider the public-facing image. On the same week, the internal memo dropped about workplace culture. A video titled "I Gave People Free Houses" premiered, and viewership actually surged. It almost proved that when spectacle meets controversy, the clicks follow anyway. This contrast, public generosity versus internal strain, became a recurring theme in the MrBeast story. A later independent probe, commissioned by the company in 2024, found isolated instances of workplace harassment and misconduct, resulting in the firing of about 5 to 10 employees, while clearing the brand of more extreme allegations like sexual misconduct. That means, yes, there were real problems, but the worst claims weren't substantiated. Still, the underlying pressure cooker environment had clearly taken its toll. Remember Netflix's Squid Game? That 9-episode critique of capitalism, class disparity, and the brutal extremes people reach when pushed to survive? Well, Jimmy's version dropped in November 2021, and it was different. It was a one-off, high-budget recreation where 456 contestants competed for $456,000. The sets were nearly identical to the show's, the editing was pure YouTube energy, and thankfully, nobody actually died. Critics pounced almost immediately. He turned anti-capitalist satire into capitalist content, read one viral comment that summed up the general mood. Many viewers, especially from South Korea, called it tone-deaf, saying it stripped away the deeper meaning of the original and turned class struggle into a clickable spectacle. The original Squid Game exposed the cruelty of a system that forces the poor to destroy each other for survival. MrBeast's version, despite its scale and polish, felt to some like a celebration of that same system. Jimmy defended the project, pointing out that it wasn't just entertainment. Over $1.5 million in cash prizes and charitable donations were given away. He framed it as a creative challenge that also helped people, and statistically, he wasn't wrong. The video went insanely viral, passing 300 million views and becoming one of the most watched YouTube videos ever made. But this time, the backlash wasn't just online noise. Mainstream outlets started using the word exploitation in the same sentences as MrBeast. The debate wasn't whether he meant well. It was whether good intentions still count when the message of a story gets flipped upside down. Even Squid Game's creator, Hwang Dong-hyuk, weighed in later, saying he didn't believe MrBeast ripped off his show, but admitted that remaking it for views and ad revenue was, ironically, very much in line with the capitalist society portrayed in Squid Game. Then came January 2023 and a video that lit up the internet with one of the biggest ethical debates of MrBeast's career. 1,000 blind people see for the first time. The thumbnail alone was pure emotional bait, an elderly woman crying as her bandages came off, her world coming into focus. Jimmy had covered cataract surgery costs for 1,000 people, totaling around $600,000. On paper, it looked like an act of pure good. But within hours, the internet started splitting in two. Some praised it as a miracle of modern philanthropy. Others saw it as something darker. Medical professionals and disability advocates called the video inspiration porn, arguing that it turned real suffering into a monetized spectacle. The video, they said, oversimplified the issue, celebrating one man's generosity instead of questioning why life-changing surgery isn't accessible to everyone in the first place. Jimmy responded fast, as he often does. He announced that he'd fund additional cataract surgeries in several other countries, expanding the project beyond the video. It was a concrete, positive follow-up. But the criticism didn't disappear. The Independent and other outlets ran headlines questioning whether acts of kindness lose their purity when filmed for profit. This single video pushed a bigger conversation into the mainstream. Where's the line between charity and content? Between helping people and using their pain as a thumbnail? MrBeast had built a brand on giving, but for the first time, people were starting to ask why he was giving and who really benefited most when the cameras started rolling. March 2023 brought another controversy. This time not about philanthropy, but chocolate. MrBeast's snack brand, Feastables, was flying off Walmart shelves when employees and shoppers began posting TikToks showing damaged and even moldy bars in stores. Not a great look for a brand that was supposed to represent clean ingredients and high quality. Jimmy's response, though, caused an even bigger stir. Instead of announcing a recall or promising stricter quality checks, he went on Twitter asking his fans to help out, literally. He encouraged them to visit Walmart stores, straighten the Feastables displays, and post photos of their shelf work. No pay, no contract, just help out and send a picture. The internet exploded. Forbes and Business Insider ran headlines calling it retail fan baiting. And labor experts quickly pointed out that what he'd described was essentially unpaid labor for a multi-million-dollar company. Critics accused him of exploiting a young, impressionable fan base. Supporters argued it was just community enthusiasm taken too seriously. Within 2 days, the tweet disappeared, but the screenshots didn't. Feastables kept selling, reportedly clearing millions of dollars in monthly revenue, but the public perception took a hit. Online, free labor became a running joke tied to his name. The whole episode underlined a tough truth. When a creator has that much influence, even a playful call to action can cross the line into exploitation. It was a wake-up call that enthusiasm isn't a substitute for ethics, and that even a feel-good brand can stumble when it forgets where the boundaries are. The summer of 2024 brought one of the most personal and painful controversies yet, one that hit directly at the heart of the MrBeast team. Ava Tyson, formerly known as Chris Tyson, one of Jimmy's closest friends and most recognizable collaborators, became the center of a firestorm after old screenshots circulated online, alleging inappropriate messages sent years earlier. The accusations claimed she'd exchanged messages with minors, and social media immediately erupted. Making matters worse, Ava had only recently come out as transgender, and the situation quickly spiraled beyond the allegations themselves. Transphobic trolls weaponized her transition to fuel outrage and misinformation. The conversation around the claims turned toxic almost overnight. Rather than engage in a drawn-out public battle, Ava announced she would step back from the MrBeast brand, saying she wanted to protect the brand and the people I care about. Jimmy released a short statement thanking her for her years of hard work and dedication, but to many, the tone felt corporate and distant. Some fans saw it as the world's biggest YouTuber choosing optics over loyalty. Others believed Ava's choice to step away was entirely her own, an attempt to shield her family and her mental health from the chaos. Whatever the reasoning, the situation deepened a growing perception that the MrBeast empire had become as protective and image-conscious as any traditional corporation. The man who built his name on empathy and generosity suddenly looked constrained by the same PR logic he once seemed above. Months later, an independent investigation, commissioned by MrBeast's company, found no evidence of grooming or sexual misconduct, but it did confirm isolated cases of workplace harassment and misconduct, leading to several terminations. It cleared Ava personally, yet it reinforced a truth that was becoming harder to ignore. Behind the philanthropic empire lay a machine under pressure, struggling to balance friendship, reputation, and the demands of global fame. In the fast food world, 2020 saw the explosion of so-called ghost kitchens, delivery-only restaurants operating out of existing kitchens. MrBeast jumped on the trend with MrBeast Burger, partnering with virtual dining concepts to sell his branded burgers through delivery apps. The model seemed genius. Hundreds of locations overnight, minimal startup costs, and the power of his name to drive orders. At first it worked. Launch day crashed the ordering apps and generated thousands of deliveries across the US. But the quality? That fell apart fast. Social media filled with complaints and photos of raw patties, cold fries, missing ingredients, and orders showing up in generic packaging. Many customers said the food was barely edible. By mid-2023, Jimmy had had enough. In July 2023, he sued Virtual Dining Concepts, claiming that they had served inedible garbage with my face on it, and accusing them of prioritizing rapid expansion over basic quality control. He also alleged that he never received proper payments and that the company had filed for MrBeast trademarks without his permission. VDC fired back almost immediately with a $100 million countersuit, accusing Donaldson of breach of contract, public defamation, and bullying tactics to end the partnership. The legal fight became ugly, with both sides trading statements through lawyers and the press. While the case is still ongoing, the damage to the brand has already been done. Mrbeastburger became a cautionary tale of influencer fast food ventures gone wrong, where hype and speed outpaced quality control. The story marked a turning point for Jimmy's empire, a reminder that not every viral idea translates into a sustainable business, especially when the product carrying your name doesn't live up to your reputation. The ambition of MrBeast's content reached an entirely new level with Beast Games. Backed by Amazon Prime Video, the series was pitched as Squid Game meets Survivor, but ethical. It was Jimmy's most ambitious project ever. 5,000 contestants, a record-breaking $5 million grand prize, and a promise of the largest, safest, and most exciting competition YouTube had ever seen. But behind the scenes, things didn't stay so picture-perfect. By September 2024, a class action lawsuit was filed against MrBeast's production company and Amazon, alleging unsafe and exploitative working conditions during filming. Contestants claimed they endured long hours without proper food, sleep, or medical access, and that safety protocols were cut to save money. The lawsuit included accounts of contestants collapsing from exhaustion, suffering untreated injuries, and being pressured to keep competing despite serious health issues. Several female participants alleged that the environment was hostile and sexist, describing inappropriate behavior and a lack of proper oversight on set. Altogether, the filings painted a grim picture of a production where content came first and care came second. Jimmy's legal team strongly denied the allegations, insisting that all safety measures met or exceeded industry standards and that many contestants had described their experience as once in a lifetime. Amazon, meanwhile, has stayed mostly silent, though leaked internal emails reportedly showed executives expressing concern, with one asking, "Are we sure we want to defend this?" If the case moves to trial, it could become the most high-profile legal battle ever tied to a creator-led project. The lawsuit doesn't just question the ethics of MrBeast production, it challenges the entire influencer economy's obsession with scale, spectacle, and viral stakes. The $5 million prize was meant to make history. Instead, it may end up defining the limits of how far content creators can go before ambition crosses the line. Late 2024 brought a brutal 1-2 punch of bad press for MrBeast. First came Lunchly, a prepackaged snack line co-founded by Jimmy alongside Logan Paul and KSI, pitched as a healthier, high-protein alternative to Lunchables. The product launch was massive, landing on shelves nationwide with MrBeast's face and fanfare plastered all over social media. But within weeks, TikTok was flooded with clips showing green, fuzzy cheese, and moldy ingredients inside Lunchly packs. One of the most viral posts came from baking YouTuber Rosanna Pansino, who opened her Lunchly pizza kit on camera to reveal visible mold despite it being well before the expiration date. The clip racked up millions of views and became the unofficial face of the scandal. The founder's responses didn't exactly calm things down. Logan Paul jokingly brushed it off, KSI laughed about the outrage, and Jimmy eventually stepped in to give a more serious statement. He explained that Lunchly products were fully inspected and shipped fresh, suggesting that the issue likely stemmed from storage or transport mishandling at distribution centers or stores. He also pointed out that mold issues occasionally occur with similar refrigerated snack brands, though that defense did little to cool the backlash. Before that fire could die down, another one started. Around the same time, Jimmy released one of his most polarizing uploads to date. Would you risk dying for $500,000? The video featured contestants performing extreme stunts, simulated plane dives, explosions, and fire-based obstacle courses, all in the name of a $500,000 prize. Aviation and stunt professionals quickly criticized the project as reckless and irresponsible, while parents groups slammed it as trauma content. To many viewers, it felt like Jimmy was chasing spectacle at any cost. Critics began linking the two stories, unsafe food, unsafe stunts, into a single narrative, that MrBeast's content machine had finally gone too far. Jimmy defended the production, saying that every stunt was coordinated by professional teams and that FAA permits and safety checks were completed. The FAA later confirmed only that appropriate permits were filed, stopping short of endorsing how the shoot was run. By year's end, Lunchly's momentum had stalled, retail partners quietly paused some shipments, and the stunts debate lingered. Together, the two controversies cemented a growing perception that MrBeast was walking a fine line between innovation and irresponsibility, philanthropy and profit, human risk and viral reward. Understanding MrBeast isn't just about watching his videos, it's about understanding the engine that drives them. His operation runs more like a corporate ecosystem than a creator channel. Revenue from his main YouTube empire helps fund Beast Philanthropy, the nonprofit branch launched in 2021. That charity then buys food for shelters, funds surgeries, and documents the process on camera. Those videos in turn earn ad revenue and sponsorships that are cycled right back into new projects. It's a self-sustaining loop, one that seems to print both money and good deeds. But people who've worked behind the scenes describe an intense, never-ending production cycle. The demand to constantly top the previous video, to make each act of generosity bigger than the last, has led to reports of exhaustion and burnout across his growing team. As for the money trail, Beast Philanthropy is a legitimate registered 501c3 nonprofit that files its public financial reports like any other charity. Those filings show millions of dollars going toward meals, disaster relief, and medical care. Still, much of the total revenue that passes through the broader MrBeast brand goes right back into content creation. Massive set builds, staffing, logistics, and post-production. Watchdog groups haven't accused the charity of wrongdoing, but critics online often raise a philosophical question more than a legal one. Where does philanthropy end and marketing begin? The organization undeniably helps people, yet every act of kindness also doubles as content. Every donation also a story beat. It's a complex knot where altruism and ambition intertwine, and where doing good has become both the mission and the business model. So why does every stunt, every giveaway, every act of charity have to be bigger than the last? Why the relentless escalation? Jimmy himself offered a clue in an interview with Time, admitting that he's begun to feel a kind of numbness toward success, that he only really feels alive when the numbers he's dealing with are massive. Psychologists might call it achievement addiction, a constant need for greater stimulation to feel fulfilled. Fans, more generously, might call it ambition. But either way, that hunger for scale explains a lot about the MrBeast phenomenon and why apology videos often arrive faster than real structural changes. Because the upload schedule isn't just a schedule, it's the business model. Miss a week and the algorithm punishes you. Sponsors get nervous. The audience's attention shifts, and when when you're operating an empire that industry insiders estimate moves hundreds of millions of dollars a year, there's no pause button. There's only forward. Every new video has to be bigger, every challenge more intense, every act of generosity grander than the one before. It's a self-feeding loop, an empire built on escalation. Once you're inside that machine, stopping isn't failure, it's collapse. The pressure to innovate and outperform yourself isn't just creative, it's existential. If you scroll through the comments on any MrBeast video, or search his name alongside any of these controversies, you'll see the same almost tribal divide. On one side are the loyal fans. He's literally curing blindness, they'll shout, pointing to the undeniable good he's done. They see the hospitals funded, the meals delivered, the smiles on faces that would have otherwise gone unseen. To them, his intentions are pure, a mix of entertainment and altruism that genuinely makes the world better. On the other side are the critics. He's monetizing human suffering, they argue, insisting the spectacle overshadows the sincerity, that generosity becomes exploitation when it's edited for content. They question not the results, but the motivations and the power dynamics that make it all possible. The thing is, both sides are right. The cataract surgeries were real, restoring sight to 1,000 people. And yes, those patients gave consent to appear on camera. Contestants did sign up for Beast Games voluntarily, fully aware of the risks and rewards. And yet some of those same contestants are now the ones filing lawsuits, claiming mistreatment and neglect. The moral center of the MrBeast debate comes down to a single question. Does intent outweigh impact? Can good deeds remain good when they're packaged for profit? The answer seems to shift with every headline, every scandal, every upload. What's undeniable is that MrBeast's empire continues to thrive, not in spite of the controversies, but almost because of them. The scale of his generosity often drowns out the ethical gray areas beneath it. It's only when the lawsuits surface, when the contracts and court filings pull the curtain back, that we glimpse how fragile the line really is between doing good and doing business. YouTube history has a way of repeating itself. The patterns become almost formulaic. A friendly, relatable creator explodes in popularity. Their fan base turns devotional, an expose lands, an apology follows, a loyal core sticks around. The media brands them toxic, and somehow the views never really drop. It's a cycle as old as the platform itself. But with MrBeast, the difference isn't just in degree, it's in scale. He's not a vlogger renting a mansion in Los Angeles, uploading from his bedroom. MrBeast is an empire, a vertically integrated media operation with hundreds of employees, global partnerships, and production budgets that rival television studios. His team includes medical staff for on-set emergencies, pilots for elaborate stunts, legal counsel on retainer for ongoing litigation, and even specialized technicians building custom props and rigs for each new video. This isn't just about Jimmy Donaldson anymore. It's a full-fledged organization with layers of management, risk, and accountability, and that changes everything. When trust in the MrBeast brand falters, it's not just subscriber counts that suffer, it's jobs, contracts, sponsorships, and entire production pipelines that depend on the machine running smoothly.